Hello, our friends, Evolutionary Energy Arts family.
Hello there. Welcome back.
Welcome back, guys. And again, we welcome all to come join us on Patreon. Again, for less than 3 cents a day, you could get exclusive videos. You could watch all our videos in one place with no commercials.
And it really helps us be able to speak freely and keep doing this work.
Yes, in this time of demonization. I meant demonetization.
Yes.
The same thing, basically. For those that have been following the channel for years, you may know that we have talked dozens of times about the fact that civil war is part of what's been planned for the United States in this period. And feel free to binge watch. Patreon is wonderful. At the moment, we don't have it sorted as far as playlists. And that's something that's only recently come into my mind, like, wow, we're going to have to sort this on Patreon because Patreon is growing so fast. But you do have these playlists up on Evolutionary, on EEARTS, and OMMM. They all have their unique playlists. You know, this is one we did over 2 years ago. Hang on tight. Transformation of the USA 2022 to 2024. The Pluto transit. Hopi, Washington Pike prophecies. I mean, good stuff. I mean, these honestly are some of the ones that I find the most fascinating. Oh, the connection between the sinking of the Titanic, creation of the Federal Reserve, and the Titans and Olympian gods? What's up with that? I mean, these are great topics. Oh, 1 hour and 11 minutes long, by the way. You know, is Texas going to be the first to leave the Union? All these good things. I just put in Civil War, so you see the little search, Civil War, and this is what comes up. And so, you know, we've been talking about the Pluto return for years. We've been talking about all the different prophecies for years. That was all on EEARTS. Here on Evolutionary, the hidden messages and symbolism in Star Wars, The Rise of Skywalker. That was over 3 years ago, a live stream that we did. And we may be doing live streams shortly again if things hold up well. You know, we are obviously going to be talking about not this, although we'll mention this before we get started, but about the Civil War movie that's coming out. Brazilian singer Pedro Henrique, 30, collapses and dies in front of fans in a live performance. You know, this is common. This is happening all the time on this planet. This is why 2024 is going to be the most eventful year in history as far as we can all remember. And by the way, a new film coming to America in the spring of 2024. This is given to us by Ultra MJ Truth. Here is his takeaways and thoughts. And again, if you haven't seen, let's start with this before we give his thoughts. Let us just sit back and listen. And, you know, I've watched this trailer multiple times. I've read everything I could find on this movie coming out. There are some obvious things that are going to hit you guys because, you know, again, you guys are more awake than 99.9% of the population. And I just can't wait to listen to your comments. But here we go.
19 states have seceded. The United States Army ramps up activity.
The White House issued warnings to the Western forces as well as the Florida Alliance.
The three-term president assures the uprising will be dealt with swiftly.
Let me know if you want to try anything on.
Are you guys aware there's like a pretty huge civil war going on all across America?
We just try to stay out. With what we see on the news, seems like it's for the best.
Citizens of America, the so-called Western forces of Texas and California have suffered a very great defeat at the hands of the United States military.
Mr. President, do you regret the use of airstrikes against American citizens?
We're moving to D.C. today.
You need to go down there.
They shoot journalists on sight in the Capitol. Every instinct in me says this is death.
Bloody.
Every time I survived a war zone, I thought I was sending a warning home. Don't do this. But here we are.
There's some kind of misunderstanding here. What? Well, you're American, okay? Okay. What kind of American are you? You don't know?
The Western forces will reach the White House on July 4th.
Oh my God.
Get in the car! Get in the car! Move, move, move!
You're gonna hang back.
I'm not hanging back.
One nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Go, 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 go!
God bless America.
In spirit, experience it in IMAX spring of 2024. Experience it in person pretty soon too, possibly, though not exactly as the movie says. The first comment right here, Texas and California would not be on the same size. Texas and Florida would be on the same side along with other freedom-loving red states. Troy 73 says that's the first thing that hits me is you can't get farther apart than Texas and California, but at the same time, they have purposes behind doing what they do.
Oh, they always have purpose. The first thing that struck me when I saw that between Texas and California, it's like they're telling us there's a curveball here and you guys don't know what it is. And it's almost like this teasing type of information that I feel is going to come out when the time comes. We have to look at things and look how much things have happened since just 2017 when that first eclipse went through. And this is when the other eclipses do. It's coming out then, right?
Yeah, April of 2024 is a month that nobody will ever forget. Nostradamus has a quatrain that says, "Great disasters are made in April, and great leaders will be ridiculed, but for a few of them," meaning that most of the disasters that would come in the month of April would be kind of politically inspired, and a few will appear maybe to be natural. Well, April, it feels earth-shaking, to say the least, and this next year is just going to be incredible. Now, you might say, well, this is just a movie. Go farther down in the comments, you have people that say, nothing's going to happen. Nothing ever happens. So key points here. 19 states appear to have ceded from the Union, are called Western forces, California and Texas, as well as the Florida Alliance. They appear to be in a war against the U.S. government. Obviously, everything going on with 46 and 45 for the last 4 years, it's pretty obvious this is all an intentional creation of the conditions that will lead to a civil war in the U.S. It could not be any more manufactured and produced. In fact, we know there's been so many revelations lately. And in fact, why I showed that little piece about the Brazilian singer that just passed on suddenly at 30, that's why you're going to have all this, because it's getting too much out there in the mainstream right now about what really happened in 2019 and on into 2020, and how, again, this is the Great Awakening. So drama from the love guru. The first D is distraction. What's a better distraction than dodging bullets and bombs?
And I was watching this and someone else had mentioned it too, and looking at that guy with his red glasses on, what are those? There's got to be some technology there, but that got me thinking. And also when he made the comment, when those people that he had the gun pointed at, they were telling him, we're American. And the first question that he had, is what kind of American? So that tells me that there's some really deep cuts when it comes to people being divided.
Yeah, absolutely. This is very, very much, in my opinion, it's a foreshadowing. It's obviously it doesn't feel accurate with California and Texas, but as Cindy said, there's going to be some twists and things that will surprise us, assuredly. So the Western forces will reach the White House on July 4th. Oh, of course, 4th of July. You have another prophetic statement that was made by William Cooper, who predicted 9/11 a month before it happened and then was gone from 3D a month later, because the tax man came knocking. He said, that he didn't know the year it would happen as far as, the end of the U.S. as we knew it and the dictatorship to come. But he said it would happen on the 4th of July. So isn't this curious that this is out there too? U.S. military appears to be activated fighting against Americans to the point of dropping airstrikes on American citizens. At the 8-second mark, 3-term president, well, obviously 46 is looking like a 1-term. And in fact, will there be a president? I don't think so. Again, you could go all the way back to the whole Baron Trump. Remember that? 1900, the last president, making like Trump was the last president, making like 46 was put in the non-traditional way, just trying to, again, avoid the AI, and thus not really the last president. And, maybe it will be 45 back for a portion of the country, or a new American republic comprised of certain states that secede from the other. Will there even be an election is a question on many, many people's minds. And, if the timeline that we got from the guides is still in effect, there's going to be foreign troops on U.S. soil come around June. If that is still in effect, which very well may be. So it's interesting. We'll have to see how that plays out. At the 41-second mark, there's a map in the reflection, which appears to depict the factions represented by blue and red colors. I can go to that point in time and slow it down. Let's see, what was it? 41 seconds, right? It didn't come out too clear here.
A very great defeat at the hands of the...
As you can see, you can see Texas. Now, this looks like it's inversed. Or is it? Yeah. Yeah, there's Florida over here. Here's Texas. So Texas is a different color. Looks like this would be New England over here, which appears to be one color going on down somewhat, different color through the south. And hard to make it out, but it looks like up here on the northern tier is a different color too. And you got Alaska and Hawaii down there. Any thoughts on that?
Well, I do think, about 5 definite types of areas that we are looking at, and the center, for whatever reason, being one of the I don't know if the word safe is correct, but maybe more of a free type of environment. So we'll have to see on that. There's still so much that we haven't seen, but one thing we do know is that people are really getting fed up, and people aren't able to stay asleep. When we see singers, people that just die suddenly, the singer at 30 years old, and people who are very much in the mainstream, and all of a sudden, boom, they see this happen, they're going to start to ask questions. And unfortunately, so often it's not until we witness something extremely tragic with our own eyes that we start asking questions about the control system that's in place right now. So, those questions, those people are questioning into the mainstream, and I think those are the things that are going to start splitting things up. I see the cracks coming, and I definitely see the cracks in society, and I think we need to be mindful of that. no matter what our belief system is, always keep in mind that, I mean, that's something very sacred to people. So for whatever reason, whatever upbringing, whatever they have been taught, whatever they have been told, they hold this very, very dear to their heart. And I think the way to come together with something like that, even if we disagree with it, is to at least honor the belief system in each and every one of us.
Yeah, absolutely. So then the next thing is at the 51-second mark, there's a sign on the building that says Jesus saves. There's always that in there. The story also appears to follow a team of journalists possibly trying to expose what's going on. And there was somebody that says they shoot journalists on site at the Capitol. So, we had Leave the World Behind. Is it just a coincidence that we have this movie coming out right now? No, there's no coincidence. None at all. In fact, again, we're talking about singers dropping dead in front of people left and right. I mean, all these public figures are dropping dead all of a sudden. That's accelerating. That's peaking. They obviously would know at what time to expect that type of peak. And everything has been planned out for extremely longer period of time than most people could possibly accept and try to stay in their right mind. But yes, it is. It's all been planned out for a very, very long time. Is it a big red pill? Yes, in a way. Again, think back to what we were showing in Leave the World Behind. That again was all about an attack on the U.S. and a cyber attack. Role played in 2020 was Cyber Polygon again, and we have the members of the few telling us, as well as other groups constantly telling us, we're going to be in for a major cyber attack, and it's going to come very shortly. Again, there are so many things that are coming to a peak in 2024 that it's just pretty obvious that we are at we're at that peak time. Truly, it's a peak time. The other thing I want to bring up is, okay, so think about this. Here we have Civil War. The other movie is talking about creating a Civil War condition so that we're weakened so that other outside enemies can come in and take us over. That's the Obama film that we're talking about. I'm going to give you another movie that I'm sure most of you have heard of that's done by the same people, or some of the same people that did this movie. And I have to hand the microphone off.
Right. I think what this does for us is it definitely gives us time to pause and prepare ourselves. I don't think anyone should sit in fear. And if you are sitting in fear, you need to ask why. This is something that I think is going to happen, and it's been in the works for a very long time. And take a look at your surroundings. If you're concerned, what can you do to make yourself feel better? What do you need to do so that you feel better?
28 Days Later is a 2002 British post-apocalyptic horror film directed by Danny Boyle and written by Alex Garland. It stars Cillian Murphy as a bicycle courier who awakens from a coma to discover the accidental release of a highly contagious, aggression-inducing virus that has caused the breakdown of society. This was inspired by George Romero's Night of the Living Dead, so says Garland. Yeah, this is the same people. And again, we understand who controls Hollywood. It's the same people that control D.C. and control the Vatican and control, the few and the NU. Put that up to a mirror too. It's all the same control group. So when we see this, now we're talking about some sort of post-apocalyptic virus, people getting aggressive. And again, if you believe that the V word is just nothing but a vacuum, if you understand where I'm going with that, well, there's frequencies, there's technologies, and there are substances that are very, very magnetic as well. There's a lot coming together here. Yes, it's a tense dystopian epic. And this is the guy looking through the rose-colored glasses.
Very, very curious. I think there's some sort of something else going on with that, but we will have to wait and see.
Yeah, so, again, we're going to have to wait for more information. They've only given us cursory information on this movie. Again, it's all about basically news correspondents, journalists that follow wars, typically in other places, and are now following it on their home turf. A24 is the name of the group that put this out, and they've had a pretty solid rise up the food chain when it comes to putting out movies. Men, Ex Machina, Annihilation director. They do a lot of dystopian horror, things that are meant to shock you. So it wouldn't be a surprise. They do have a Amazon deal in place. They have other deals in place. It's just, is it a coincidence that it's an election year? Not at all. Not at all. Secession of 19 states. Is it possible? Absolutely. Look what's going on right now with Hunter Biden. And somebody's mentioned, didn't even look like that was Hunter Biden number 1. Maybe it's Hunter Biden number 2 or number 3. Oh, the bottom line is things are being revealed so fast. People are waking up so fast. The only way to take control of the situation is to create something so big that instead of focusing on uncovering more and trying to figure things out, we're just trying to dodge bullets and bombs and whatever else is out there.
Indeed, I agree.
Yeah. So, yes, April of 2024, this comes out. You have Kirsten Dunst as the reporter, Wagner Moura. It's actually my understanding that the character that is playing, or the person that's playing the character looking through those rose-colored glasses, is actually her husband in real life. That's curious as well. My question is, it's slated for release, I think, April 24th. And A24 is the name of the group, and that's a highway in Italy that the founder was driving on when he decided he was going to make this film group. And so, it feels like there might be something else more symbolic with A24 for you guys that like to do some digging. Certainly feels significant. And again, when these small companies get to a certain point, then they get blessed with cash and sponsorships, and other bigger companies will come and buy them out or become part of it or work to get them extra cash, as in this case Bank of America and a few other big name banks kind of funded them, so to speak. And here they are. Now they're making movies that are talking to us about the relatively near future. My question is, will the movie make it out before the Civil War actually starts?
That's a good and very fair question. I think there's going to be a lot of angst and a lot of separation and a lot of psychological warfare on people to get them in a certain mood in a certain place. And so often people just walk around and they're just very, very angry. And it's incredible how much frequency can affect that. Once you understand frequency and how powerful it is and how easy it is to put a frequency out there to get people in a good mood or get people in a bad mood, then things start to make sense. And you also realize that, gosh, you got to kind of not to be fearful, but keep an eye around you, because those that are not understanding and then they're just walking through life and they don't realize what things could be could be pointing them in one direction or another. They're just walking through life, they're not paying any attention, and they're able to be persuaded. That's something that kind of bothers me, because I think they're putting more and more of those technologies out there that get people to have certain thoughts or make certain decisions that they probably regret later, and they think, well, wow, what was I thinking? Well, you were hit with a frequency.
Absolutely. Don't forget too that the alphabet soups have been in charge of programs like MK Ultra, which is very, very real. And when you look to the drug trade around the globe, it's ultimately been controlled by governments around the globe, of varying governments, and our own government has done more than its fair share. As we see, what are they always trying to do? They control through pitting us against each other. So when I see, these things, and it says, talking about strong patriots like you that built this country, they're still believing the history that's in the books. And unfortunately, what's that going to lead to? That's going to lead to people grabbing and taking up arms against their brothers and sisters, which is exactly what they are counting on. It's humanity recognizing that there's a core truth going on here. We're all being pitted against each other. You were born into this one country, and if you were born into, as Skype goes on, as they're listening in on the other, they do it all the time. They do it all the time. The other computer, Skype just came on for them to listen into. You were born into a country that was created for the express purpose of dividing humanity. It wasn't about what they sell us on. By now, we should understand it's always about profits, and it's about keeping people divided so they don't figure out the real control system.
We can learn so much from our pets. They are so forgiving, and every day is a new day. And if you leave the house for 5 minutes and you come back, they are just so extremely happy to see you, like they haven't seen you for 10 hours, and they love really, really big. They live big and they love big. I think we need to kind of do what our pets do more.
Absolutely. So cultivate the positive, but be aware of all the things that are going to throw at us. Source bless. Namaste.
Namaste.